CAN for Canada, USA for the United States. And the actual border is the center line of that road.
Well, let me introduce you to the border. We have houses that are divided.
If we were to look around, there probably is a hidden camera. Uncle Sam is watching us. It's odd that it would slice it right in two, but I don't know what the logic was.
I was told the line was supposed to be back probably about a quarter of a mile back in the state.
They thought the border was going to be on the 45th parallel, and it's actually about a half a mile north.
It's basically that mistake that we have today.
You can see that line where the border is, and it's not straight, it curves. My geography teacher said it was alcohol involved, but you know, who knows?
It's mostly sleepy. It's certainly not like the Mexican border. You know, there's things going on, but nothing terribly exciting. All the locals know how to get things across.
The first custom officer described the people in this area as the most lawless people that he'd ever seen and the most disregard for the law that he'd seen, because the people were very accustomed just to crossing back and forth across the border without any questions being asked. People got a little more accustomed to it, but they still did a fair amount of smuggling. And it's not quite as prevalent today, but there still is some that goes on.
For many, many years, it was sort of a novelty. That novelty sort of wore off in more recent years.
Well, years ago, it was completely different. It was very friendly. We say there's the friendliest border in the world. As a young boy, I remember we used to pedal across. We used to go down to Newport to get milkshakes or freezies, and we get on our bikes and pedal across, and we just waved to the custom officers. But since 9/11, it's changed drastically.
Over the years, it had grown in tremendously, and it was hard to even see where the border was. And then they have these cement posts every so often that demark the actual border.
I think the world has changed, and we've had to change with it.
I think it's a wonderful place to be. It's like we are at the center of everything.
The sound of distant deer hunters is about all you'll hear along this remote tree-lined corridor, a stretch of the longest land border between two countries. On one side, Canada. On the other, the U.S. But this lonely spot is also the gateway to an American geographic oddity, Minnesota's northwest angle.
Most people up here are adventurous or crazy, or both.
On a map, it looks as if someone put a substantial part of Minnesota in Canada by mistake. In fact, it was a mistake, made in 1783 during the Treaty of Paris. The border, being drawn between the U.S. and then Britain, was supposed to cut through Lake of the Woods at a northwest angle, hence the name. Problem was, the map the Founding Fathers used of Lake of the Woods was completely wrong. The lake actually looks like this. They were way off, but that weird boundary bump stuck. Ever since, the angle, as locals like to call it, has remained an outlier. The only overland route to this part of Minnesota is actually through Canada, on a gravel road. There's no fence, no guard, no official-looking anything, really, until you come upon this shed called Jim's Corner.
Passport?
It houses a video phone, so that arriving travelers like us can check in with U.S. Immigration before driving on. There's no grocery store, no hospital, no theater, no fast food restaurant, not even a single traffic light. It's lucky to have a post office.
This is gonna go good.
But what it does have...
What the heck you got, Dan?
I think I got tiger by the tail.
is fish. The sprawling, chilly waters of Lake of the Woods offer some of the best walleye fishing in all of North America.
Nice fish! Woo! Look at that fish.
Most come here to put a hook in the water and then go home. But there's about 60 or so hardy Minnesotans who live in the Angle year-round, many of whom run fishing lodges, like Jason and Lisa Goulet.
It takes a unique blend of personality traits to really make a go of this.
Making a go of it here usually means leaving here. Even the most mundane tasks involve a certain amount of shuttle diplomacy.
Grocery shopping is once a week, and that's an hour and 15 minutes one way.
First, residents have to notify Canadian authorities that they're about to cross the border.
I'm at Jim's Corner, and I'm heading into the world border.
Then, it's a 60-mile or so trek through Canada back to the U.S. boundary line to cross back into Minnesota and the nearest town.
It's pretty much takes up your day. I mean, I realize it's only a 150-mile round trip or whatever, but with all your stops, I mean, it's 5-6 hours every time.
The Goulets, at least, have help in managing this lifestyle. They have 8 kids. Yes, 8. The girls, all 7 of them, help out their mom making custom quilts.
All right, bud, you can take over on these if you want.
While Jack, their only boy, helps his dad with the ice fishing shacks. The Goulets' brood make up about a third of the student body at the Angle's tiny one-room schoolhouse, Minnesota's last.
Wow, good. You're picking these up.
Linda Lemie has been teaching here for 30 years, even teaching her own children, whom she raised in the Angle too.
To have a slumber party, you know, my girls were just so disappointed because their friends had to have a passport if they wanted to come up for a slumber party.
Just for a slumber
Yes, yes. So it is different, but we've just, gotten used to it, and it just seems normal.
There isn't room to house high school students here, though. For that, the older kids have to border hop. For some, it starts long before dawn. They arrive by boat from some of the Angle's islands, that are also part of the U.S., to catch a school bus. A few stops later, the driver finds himself at that roadside video phone.
Hello, I'm calling from Jim's Corner.
Reporting the names of every student on the bus.
Carlson, Megan.
Heading to their Minnesota high school by way of Canada in the dark. By sunup, we got to wondering if maybe life would be easier if the Angle were just part of Canada. Well, turns out they tried that back in the 90s.
It is a part of the United States called the Northwest Angle.
The Angle made big news when it threatened to secede from the U.S. over a fish dispute. Turns out that walleye caught on the Canadian side of the lake couldn't be brought back to the U.S. side. And that made fisherman and Northwest Angle resident Gary Dietzler pretty mad.
You ever imagine that it would become this big trade dispute?
No. We were just trying to get a couple fish. Keep the resort going.
It was partly his idea to join Canada, mainly as a stunt to get publicity for the fishermen's cause. And it worked. The Great Walleye War, as it came to be known, ended amicably. The Northwest Angle remained part of the U.S., and the walleye's nationality seemed to matter no more. Since then, things have remained as they usually are here, quiet and serene and remote. The Northwest Angle may be an orphan of the Atlas, but that's just the way the folks at the top of the nation like it.